Everyone, welcome to the next World of Flowers picture. This is quite a large design today. Actually, I think it's the largest little box on the page, but it may not take too long because some of the bits are quite large, so we'll see how we go. I'm just trying to decide on a background colour, so I thought I would talk you through my thoughts. We've got green going on, and a brown basket. We've got a thermometer, which I'll probably do with reds and silver. These might be, not sure. I usually do these as bluebells, but I'm thinking a blue background might work, partly because we don't have our blue background. The one we did is quite a long way away from here, so we can get away with the blue background here. So I think that's what I am actually going to do. I'm just looking for the blue that I want to use. I want to use this one, the Prussian Blue. It's quite a dark blue. So I'm going to start colouring. And I wanted to tell you actually today about how proud I am of my boy. Now, I'm not that sort of, I try not to be that sort of mum and show off about how good my kids are all the time. I do that to my parents and stuff, my sister, but I try not to go onto social media and say, I used to, and then I realised that it's not really, but I have to tell you that this story. So this morning I was saying I've got these crampy pains in my legs. I've had them for a few days. It's probably to do with the back thing, I often get trapped nerves and things. My son, he made me so proud. He said, Mum, I think it's because you haven't eaten enough chocolate. You need to eat more chocolate today. Such a good boy. Such a good boy. I was so proud. Oh. Sorry, I hope that made you smile. But actually, it's parents' evening coming up at college. They still do them at college. I didn't think they would, but they do. But it's really hard for me to get to the college. The evenings end quite early. My husband doesn't like doing the drive, etc. So I said to the boys, do you want me to go? And they said, that's okay. But they like to get some feedback, so I've emailed their tutors and said, apologies, it's, I can't make it, and can you send me any sort of report that you might want to. So I had one back almost immediately, which was very quick, from my son's geology teacher, which basically said he needs to do some more practice papers. I don't know where he gets the practice papers from, but it's fair enough. So I shall pass that on to him. He'll be delighted. I remember trying to do practice papers when I was doing my A-levels. Ugh. But I was telling my boys how dry it was when I did A-levels. The textbooks, the revision guides, were all just words, whereas their revision guides have pictures in and sort of text bit into little boxes, and they're broken up with questions and exercises. And although at the end of the day you're still revising, with a bright and colourful page, it just makes it feel a little bit more inviting, whereas mine was just words. I do remember the past papers that my parents bought for us. Nowadays college has them all online, you can just access them. They were printed out on coloured papers, like pink and green and blue, but they were still past papers at the end of the day, Ugh. I remember reading through them and reading through the answers. I don't think I ever actually attempted to do them, which was probably very naughty of me, really. My parents spending all that money. But it may have increased my mark. I didn't do very well, but I may have done even worse. I don't know. But anyway, my boys are studying hard, and they're enjoying it, which is good. And it's quite interesting because some kids, sit in the class on a computer. A lot of them have their computers, and some of them just playing games, or they're on their phone, things like that. They're just not paying attention. And my boys say, college just don't care. I don't think that's quite true. But I think it's quite difficult for them to discipline the children because they're aged 16 to 18. Trying to discipline an 18-year-old, they can't give them a detention. They're an adult, so they want to sort of train them to be more sort of responsible for themselves rather than sort of babying them like a school might. I mean, I don't mean babying, but sort of, you know, spoon feeding them a bit more. It's still the same sort of term. I think you know what I mean. So they want them to sort of get used to being more independent, and which is fair enough. But my boys find that a little bit difficult at times, like trying to organise themselves, but they're getting there, so that's good. But you know, the other week they both completely forgot to do a homework. Like, the teacher took it in and I said, are you sure they set it? And they were like, well, everyone else had done it and we hadn't, so they did it and handed it in late. And they don't get told off for handing things in late, you know, although they don't like doing that. Obviously it means you get behind, and then you've got two pieces close together, so they realise that it's not a good thing. They don't want to, but you know, it's not too scary. They just try and get it done and hand it in. Now this is a much bigger background to the other pages. You can see I'm finding it more difficult to make it look neat because the area is big. I've got a big sort of scratchy line down there which I'm actually going to erase. There we go, and then I'm just going to go over it a bit more gently. But it'll come. Just go over the bits that look uneven, not the whole bit, but the lighter bits. So this bit here, look, just eliminate it by going over it a bit. Just work your way through and take your time. I'm doing it quite fast. You don't have to do it fast. Just enjoy the process of applying colour to paper and not having to think about colour, because you know, even if you're choosing your own colours for this page, which I assume some of you will be, once you've chosen your background you can just go for it. I'm tired of doing that bit up there. I'm going to do this bit down here. This bit's easier because it's smaller. I'll come back and finish that bit in a minute. So you see what I do? I just move around a little bit. Now on a big picture with a big old background, I don't tend to do a background like this with just one colour. I have done, but if I was, I would probably not do it all in one go because I would get bored. So I would do a little bit. I might start over here, do this bit, colour this pot, then do this bit and colour this. Do you see? So I'm not using the same colour over and over because it just gets boring. But what I tend to do these days for my backgrounds, rather than just using one colour, if it's a big background, it's okay if it's smaller, is to mix up different colours. It's more interesting. Like yesterday, I finished a picture. Trying to think. You'll see at the end of the month of my completed pages. I may have already, I probably put it up on my Facebook page too. And the background, I just got some soft pastels, put a light colour on the page. What the picture was blackberry bushes, so I took a lighter shade of the green that I'd used for the plants, for the leaves, and put that all over the background, and then I got a little bit of purpley colour and sort of made little circular shapes in about the size of the blackberries on top to make it look like you can sort of see blackberries in the distance. You know, it was just a bit different, and it was really quick because it was soft pastel, and so that was good. Right, I can't wait to start these tulips. I'm going to do that. If the background is messy still, I might go back and fiddle with it. I might find that once I've done this, you don't notice it. Who knows? Right, let's grab a pink for my tulips. Cherry pink. It's quite a nice colour. So for the tulips, I want these side pieces. I want the whole petal to be darker at the bottom than the top, but I want these side pieces to be darker all the way across here where there might be some shadow, but actually darker than this as well, because they're slightly behind, so be slightly darker. So like that, and then just gently fade this up. Now a tulip petal would curl so that this bit was showing was more forward. So what we can do is just put a little bit more colour around that edge like that, so got a little bit of shine down the middle, which will make it look more like a tulip. Obviously you don't have to colour this as a tulip if you don't want to. I can't do that with these side ones because of their shape, so I'm doing what I did before, making them a little bit darker at the bottom and the side, and then I'm just gonna colour it all over, make it a little darker at the bottom and then a bit darker at the sides. Oh, I'm suddenly feeling warm. I've got my cardigan on because I was chilly, now I'm feeling warm. Oh well. So these are all going to be the same. Just checking my calendar next to me paranoidly. Now I haven't got anyone coming today. I've organised a lot of appointments because the kitchen fitters have nearly finished and I'm just sick of waiting for them to finish. I have made some appointments, so tomorrow I actually have the kitchen supplier in to have a look at the kitchen. She wants to sort of sign it off and stuff and make sure it's all done and finished and she's happy with it, which obviously isn't done and finished, but it's, I think, mainly. But anyway, I've also got who have I got? Oh yeah, someone to come and do me a quote for my bathroom extractor fan because I don't think it's working very well, getting a lot of mould. That's very exciting, isn't it? And then next Tuesday I'm having my alarm serviced, my house alarm, so I'm sort of booking people in. I've got someone, yeah, so that's that, and I'm waiting for my plumber to come back and give me a date for when he can fix my leaky shower. But fortunately it still works, so there's no urgency. So I think he's dealing with emergency jobs. Right, now remember when we were colouring this one here, I talked about how that green background needed to be different to these leaves and this as well. So we need like a mid-green, don't we? That's going to stand out from both the background and the bottle. So I am going to use... maybe, no, not that one. Yeah, I think the Castle Green Deep, although it's called Deep, it isn't as dark as this Viridian, and I can make it lighter, if that makes sense, by applying it a little more gently. And my plan is to make it darker down here anyway and lighten it as I go towards the ends of the leaves. So by the time it gets up to the bit that overlaps, it'll be quite light. Do you see? Try not to put my hand in full shot. There we go. And the same with this one. We've only got these two leaves, interestingly. The stems need doing. Now with the stems they're quite fine, so I'm just going to block them out really with a fairly hard amount of colour so that it stands out. And it is really nice on stems to make them a little bit darker on each side to make them look more rounded, but we just don't have the space on these. They're just too fine, so I'm just going to block them out. Now I've done that, I can see a few areas of blue that I've missed from the background, the Prussian Blue, so I'm just going to go back in and tidy up a little bit. So along here, doesn't need a lot. See where I was bored of using it before, now I've gone to a different colour and come back I'm not, so I'm just gonna, I'm happy with using it for a bit and tidying and neatening up. It is sometimes a bit easier to do this once you've done the colour. Okay, let's go back to this and think about our vase. I'm just going to erase the green that I've managed to put onto the vase. I'm thinking maybe a slightly lighter pink, a sort of delicate colour might be nice. I'm really liking this cherry pink. Maybe we'll go down to the rose pink. It's really quite pale. I think it might go quite well. So let's go from the bottom of the handle, harder here, lighter, and a bit harder here and lighter. I don't want to leave too much white. I want it to be quite light on that corner. I just realised we're out of shot. There we go. So I don't think you've missed anything. Now here, I have quite a dark edge. I'm going to leave these bits and do them a different colour. So I'm going to bring this in a little bit. And the same. So I'm sort of trying to do all this side at once, and then we'll go over to this side so that we can find the middle more easily. You've seen me do this before. The reason I do both sides is I try and come in the same distance from each side, and then it makes for a more even centre line, although it doesn't really matter if you're exactly in the centre, because it would depend on where your light source is as to where that shine would be, but I like it to be in the middle. There we go. Now I'm just going to tidy it up and come back in, darken up that edge a bit more, and work my way from each side. I'm doing each sort of section separately now because I know where my centre line is. There we go. Now that twine, I think we need to move away from pink. And I'm thinking, although we've got a blue background, maybe I'd do a really pale blue. I think it would look quite pretty. So I'm grabbing my Cobalt Turquoise, which is a really light colour. And what I'm going to do is make it darkest on this edge and then fade it the same as here, so that we've got the same shine bit, lighter bit in the middle. I don't want this to shine, and I suppose it could be the same sort of porcelain, couldn't it? There we go. Now we've got our basket. I'm going to do that next. I'm going to use some browns, but I think I'm going to start with quite a pale colour. I'm going to use the Terracotta Light. Now, although it's called terracotta, for me it's more of a goldy brown colour. So I'm just going to put a layer of this all over. It's really straightforward to start with. And then we'll put in some detailing in a bit. Now, because it's a basket, I'm not sure it would be really shiny in the same way as the pot. So I'm not going to make it darker on the edges and then lighter in the middle in the same way. I'm going to put some shadow in, and I'll show you in a minute. So we've got a fairly even as I could do, covering, and now we're going to grab the Van Dyck brown and add in a little bit of shade. Now what I want to do first is deal with this lip part here. I want it to be slightly darker top and bottom, but not a lot. I want to be able to have an even darker brown underneath for the shadow. So I'm just really gently putting enough on so it shows without using too much, because I just want that to look like it's rounded. Like that. Under here I want a dark layer, so I'm going to put quite a hard line under there, so it really looks like it's a lip that's standing out. Just trying to even that out, it's a bit messy. Now have a look at our design of our basket. I'm thinking that this line might have a shadow either side of it, so I'm just carefully going to put a dark line each side like this. Now you may have noticed in a lot of these pictures I'm going over the lines at the bottom here, or at the side or at the top. I plan on making these lines, these outlines, with a pen. I haven't decided on the colour yet. Probably black, but it might be gold, it might be silver. So I'm not too worried about going over these edges because it'll be covered over with a pen. So I just thought I would I'll let you know you don't have to worry about it either if you're going to do it in the same way as if you've got a black pen. You can use a black pencil, they tend to cover quite well. Now I'm thinking that's still looking a little bit too plain. I'm thinking when we got wicker, it doesn't tend to lie flat, it tends to be slightly curved in between each bit. So what I'm going to do is just take this shadow out a little bit, bring some in from here, so it's got a sort of curve slightly to it. Also makes it look a little bit more interesting. I'm just trying to hold the page down. When you're quite near the middle, it moves around a bit. I know some people prefer the spiral bound for that reason, but I'm not a fan. It's very personal. I just don't like spiral bound books. So it's fine if you like it, do it. Right, there we go, there's our basket. We could do some underneath each of these lines, but I think it's too small. I don't think I'll get my pencil sharp enough to do that, so I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to start with this little one. It's very cute, isn't it? I'm trying to think what colour. I think I'm going to do a sort of pale purpley colour. This is the lavender. I'm going to use that for these. Now, I usually do them darker at the top and lighter at the bottom, but actually I think it would be the other way round. I think I usually do them wrong. So I'm going to try and put, what I'm doing is a light layer first, then go in at the bottom darker and draw that up. So a light layer first, darker at the bottom, bring it up a bit. Don't stand out massively from that background, but I think they'll be fine. There we go. And then we have the leaves to do. I think we need something fairly dark that's going to stand out from that dark blue background. So I'm going to use the Juniper Green. Now these leaves are very small, so I'm just going to block them in. I'm not going to try and shade. You don't have to shade everything. It can look very impressive, but it can be really tricky. Right, I'm getting the Prussian Blue back out from my background colour, just to tidy this up. Oh, my stomach wants to rumble, I can feel it. There we go. There's a lot to do around here, but we'll do that in a minute. So these bells I'm going to do in a slightly different shade of purple. I think actually I might go for the light, for the purple. Sorry, I was going to call it a light. And we'll do it in the same way though, so we'll do a light layer and then darker here. It's quite interesting, there's a thermometer in this particular bit of the page. I wouldn't choose to put my thermometer here. I would, if I was germinating seeds or something, I would, or if something needed to be kept cool like a cacti, that's where I'd put my thermometer. It's a bit of fun, isn't it? Oh, my stomach went rawr. It's trying to get in on the act. Want some of my ad revenue. Guest star. Okay, there we go. I want the leaves to look a bit different to these, so I'm going to go for a bit of a lighter colour. And I'm going to use the leaf green middle. And I am trying to fade it a little bit towards the tips of each of these long leaves and make it a little bit darker in the base, because it's quite a light colour. It doesn't show up that well, but I think that's fine. It does look different to the other greens, which is what I wanted. I'm trying to think while I'm doing this what the thermometer is going to look like. Oh, well, that's got quite a lot of blue on it. Perhaps I should have rubbed that off a bit first, but never mind. We'll do these little bits. These got bits of blue on too. Just do the best I can. these are just hard colouring. Okay, now I'm going to go back in again with my Prussian Blue, just tidy up that background, particularly near the edges of everything. It's where it can often look a bit scruffy. So, sorry, I'm just concentrating. Even it out a little bit in various places. Got a bit of a scratch in the paper there. Sometimes that happens on from the back. I haven't done the picture on the back yet. So, or it can just be a little fault in the paper, but it's fine. Okay, thermometer. Now I'm thinking that I'm grabbing a red. The bit that measures the temperature tends to be red, but I don't think it would go all the way up. It would be to there or something. Like that. That's how I'm going to do it anyway. Sorry, that's the Scarlet Red. I don't think I told you, it doesn't really matter, does it? Now I'm going to use a grey. I'm going to use my cool grey to do the background. Now I'm going to do this bit really lightly. Sort of leave a few white gaps so it looks like it's sort of catching the light and a bit shiny. Like that. And then I'm going to do it a little bit harder on the edge. Need to cover those bits that I've accidentally coloured over. Leave a little white bit in the middle of each sort of side. Like that. And then it looks a bit metallic-y and shiny. I'm leaving that bit white. Okay, and now we have our cups. I'm thinking maybe we'll keep with the purpley pinky theme because it's looking quite pretty, I think. So I'm going to use the heather purple for my first cup. And I hope it shows up actually against the blue. I think it will. So very similar to how I do cups before. So darker here and here. And then we've got this sort of brim part. I'm going to sharpen this. It's a bit blunt, isn't it? There we go. So going across like that. And then darker on each side. And here. These look like they would be a sort of enamel cup really, but they're white and blue. I want to do some colour. There we go. So maybe the next one we could do in a lavender light. So again the handle darker here at the bottom, lighter as you go up and a bit darker there, so we've got a very light bit on that top corner where it's catching the light. And then here just lighten towards the middle. Okay, I'm going to go over it again. There we go, really straightforward. And the top one, let's do it in the aubergine. Or did we use the aubergine already? No, we didn't. So we used the aubergine. I think we used it as a background on our last page. It'll look a bit different here because we're pressing harder. So just taking it towards the middle from each side to get that bit of shine. There we go. I am now just going to go back into the background again with my Prussian Blue. I'm actually going to try and sharpen it a bit. Looks like it wants to break. I think it'll be alright. There we go. Just get into these little corners and bits. Just to even it up a little bit. Try to, yeah, make sure it's all around everything. Sorry, concentrating. There, I'm going to leave it there. So there, oh we're out of shot again, or not completely, but there we go. It's nice and straight for you. So there is our tulip vase and basket. I think it's, I like those colours together. I think they look rather fun. So there's that one. We've still got 6 pictures left, so that's a lot of nice and fun still to be had on this page. But for now, thank you for watching, and please drop a little like if you've enjoyed the video, and it's always nice to see your comments as well. Thank you for all of you that already do that, and subscribe if you haven't, please. But otherwise, have a really lovely day and happy colouring.